everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new DC Collectibles 7-inch scale Batman Arkham Origins 3-pack that contains figures of Dr. Harleen Quinzel, Electrocutioner, and Lady Shiva. Now this set comes packaged in the same kind of style of packaging we've seen with other Batman Arkham Origins figures. You've got that kind of bluish background, the cityscape, and then you've got the Batman Arkham Origins logo up at the top. The figures are clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and you have the name of the characters down below. On the side, we just have an image of Batman, same image on both sides, and then on the back of the packaging we have a look at the three figures up at the top. It tells us that Quinzel and Shiva are sculpted by Jonathan Matthews, and that the Electrocutioner was sculpted by Phil Ramirez. And then underneath that we have a look at other Arkham figures that have been released by DC Collectibles. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside of the packaging. Now, I think DC Collectibles has done a nice job with the sculpting on these. All three figures I think look good, and the paint applications seem to be pretty solid on all three figures as well. Now, the first thing that I want to say is I really like the fact that we're getting three unique figures in this box set as opposed to like getting stuck with a repaint. A lot of times with these things we get one or two new figures, and then the rest of the figures in the set are reissues or something. So in this case we're getting actually three different figures, so I think you're getting your money's worth overall with this set. Okay, so we'll start off looking at Executioner, and I think the sculpt is really nice on this figure. I like the detail with all the wires, which are done as like separate pieces. They're just that kind of vinyl rubber type material, so you do want to be careful, you know, not to pull on them too much to pull them out of the figure. Now this set of wires on his chest are actually sculpted on the figure, but the ones on his arms and this long one that goes from his chest to his leg are actual separate pieces. So he does come with basically an extra pair of hands. So the electric gloves that he wears, he's got a pair of closed fists, and then they come with an extra set that are open hands. And the wires that go to his gloves, they just pull out. There's just a little hole, and you can just snap the pull the hand off and put the open hand one in if you want. And get it in there, and then you just there's just a little hole, and you just stick the wire in there. Now the detail on the gloves is pretty nice. You've got some metallic silver, and again you have some wire sculpted on the gloves, and then you have some little knobs and stuff. The only thing that would have been maybe cooler if they had added some electricity effects to go on the hands. That would have been kind of cool. But as it is, I still think these look pretty good overall. And then he's got the red markings on his costume, which look like are just painted on, which I think is how it was in the video game. And then he's got these little boxes with little electrical symbols on them, lightning symbols on them. So very true to what we see in the video game. And then he's got the scarred face where it's been like burnt, and the nice detailing with that. So again, overall, I really like the details on this figure, and I think they've captured the overall look of how he appeared in the video game. So the figure stands just a little bit over 7 inches tall, so I think the scale is pretty good. He's actually a little bit taller than Batman. In the video game, I think they're actually pretty close to the same height, so if anything, he might be a hair tall, but for the most part, I think the scale is pretty good with these. And then just for one more comparison, here he is next to the Joker, and he is a little taller than the Joker as well. So articulation is pretty much on par with what we see with the other figures in this line. The head is on a ball joint, so he can look left and right. He's got some up and down movement with the head, and he can kind of pivot his head to the left and right as well. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, so he can get his arm all the way out, and he's got good rotation at the arm. He's got a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much, and then he's got a swivel at the boot cuff, or at the glove cuff. No wrist articulation on these. He does have a waist no midsection joint, but he does have a waist swivel, though you can't really, because of the way the outfit's sculpted, it kind of comes down, his this vest kind of comes down over his waist. It limits how much you can really rotate there, but he does have a little bit of rotation there at the waist. Just the T-crotch design with the legs, so he can't do the splits, but he can get his leg forward about that much, and he can do his leg back about that much. Does have a double jointed knee, though a little bit tight there, so but he can bend his knee about that much. And then he's got the swivel at the boot cuff and no ankle articulation on this figure. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Next we'll look at the Shiva figure, and again I think the sculpting and paint applications on this figure are really nice. I think they did a good job with the face sculpt on this one. No complaints there. Strong paint applications overall. I like the detailing on the outfit with the little buttons on her shirt, and she's got the little tassel that's done with that kind of rubber vinyl material that hangs off her waist. My only real complaint with the figure is they do give her sword as an accessory, and it comes with a sheath, and the sword is removable. It's just a silver metallic blade, and then a little bit of sloppiness with the paint on the handle, but overall it's not too bad. But my complaint is that they don't give you any way to put the sheath or the sword on her back like you see her have in the video game. So she just has to carry it in her hand. So it would have been nice if they'd given some way to put that on her back. But otherwise, that's my really only main complaint with the figure. The figure stands a little bit over 6.5 inches tall. Again, seems to be in pretty good scale with the other figures in the line. So here she is next to Batman, and you can see Batman is a bit taller as he should be. Okay, so articulation on this one's okay. It's not great. I guess, I said I only had one complaint with the figure, and that was not being able to put the sword on her back, but I guess I would have liked to have seen maybe a little more articulation since this is a fairly agile character. But as it is, head's on a ball joint so she can look left and right, and she's got some up and down movement with the head, and she can kind of pivot her head to the left and to the right. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, but the way the shoulders are sculpted, she can only do her arms out about that much. And then she does have good rotation at the arm. She has a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so she can bend her elbow about that much. And then she has a swivel at the glove cuff, but no wrist articulation on these. No midsection joint at all, no waist swivel unfortunately. Legs are just on a T-crotch, so she can do her legs forward about that much. So she can't really even do her leg forward that much with the way the shirt is sculpted. And then she can do her leg back. She can do her leg back good. No thigh swivel, single hinged knee, so she can only bend her knee about that much, and then she has a swivel at the boot cuff, but no ankle articulation, and then 2 peg holes on the bottom of her feet. Okay, and finally we'll take a look at the Dr. Harleen Quinzel figure. So this one, this is obviously Harley Quinn before she becomes, Harley. This is, in her psychiatrist outfit like we see in the video game, where she's doing kind of a session with the Joker and such. So she's got the lab coat on, and that's done with a vinyl material for the actual coat, and then the sleeves are sculpted on. She's got a red shirt on with a little name tag, and you can see some writing. I think it says security on there. It looks like there's supposed to be a little image. So even though it's really tiny, I actually did some pretty nice detailing on that little name badge. And then she's got the red shirt, and she's got a little holly on her coat. I like the face sculpt. I think they did a really good job with the face sculpt on this one, and the way the hair is sculpted and everything, and the glasses, which are not removable, but I think that comes off looking really good. And she's got the red lipstick. Her skirt, again, is just that kind of vinyl material, and then she's got the stockings. She comes with one accessory. It's just a clipboard. There's nothing on the clipboard. She can hold it in basically her right hand. The fingers are kind of clasped so that you can kind of stick it in there. You can kind of put it in her other hand, but she's not going to hold it very tight, so you kind of have to just, if you want to put it in that hand, you just kind of have to sit it there. But again, it's not very tight in that hand. This figure stands just a hair under 7 inches. Actually, if you count to the very tip of her hair, it's probably right at 7 inches. So overall scale is pretty good. Here she is next to Batman. You can see Batman is a bit taller. And then here she is next to the Joker. And again, the Joker is a little bit taller. And just for one more comparison, here she is next to some previously released Harley Quinn figures from some of the other Arkham games. And they're all about the same size. So overall, like I said, scale is pretty good with those. Articulation on this figure is pretty much the same as we saw with Shiva, which on this figure it doesn't bother me that much since, Harley doesn't do a whole lot but, kind of sit there. But the head is on a ball joint, so she can look left and right. She can turn her head left and right, and she can kind of pivot to the left and the right, and she's got some up and down movement with the head. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, but again, the way the shoulders are sculpted, she can do them out about that much. She has good rotation at the arm. She has a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so she can bend her elbows about that much, and then no wrist articulation, no midsection articulation, no waist articulation. Legs are just on the T-crotch, but because of the skirt, she actually can't move her legs very much. She can do her leg forward about that much, and she can do her leg back about that much, but her leg movement is pretty much restricted by the skirt. She does have a thigh swivel, so you do have some rotation there. Single hinged knee, so she can bend her knee about that much, and then no ankle articulation at all, and no peg holes on the bottom of her feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I really like this set. I think all three figures look really good. I like the sculpting and the paint applications on all three figures. A few minor complaints, a little more articulation would have been nice on some of the figures, and especially Shiva, and maybe being able to put the sword on her back. But otherwise, I think this is a really nice set. Again, I really like that you're getting 3 unique figures in the set, so you're not having to buy a repeat figure like we often see with the box sets. This set is hitting comic and specialty shops now. It's going to cost you about $65, which again, I think you're getting your money's worth with 3 figures. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.